Hi everybody, hope you're all well. This is part 9 of 31 Days in August, and today's comic is by John Ostrander and Timothy Truman, and it's Grimm Jack number 5 from First Comics. Now, John Ostrander, you've probably seen his work from DC Comics. He wrote The Spectre in the 90s, which was an absolutely brilliant series. He also wrote the last few story arcs of the original Firestorm the Nuclear Man series, which brought Firestorm into the whole elemental sort of side of the DC universe. He was in a similar. John Ostrander made Firestorm in the similar vein of Swamp Thing. So Firestorm was a fire elemental, whereas Swamp Thing was a earth elemental. Timothy Truman is an absolutely brilliant artist. You've probably seen his artwork on things like DC Vertigo in mid 90s. Did a series of mini-series with Jonah Hex. There was Jonah Hex Riders of the Worm and stuff. I can't remember the other titles, excuse me. But Timothy Truman also did a load of mini-series with Jonah Hex, which were like a cowboy horror comic, if you will, and they were absolutely outstanding. The artwork on there was absolutely brilliant. This is a collaboration that John Ostrander and Timothy Truman were creating in 1984 for First Comics. Recently, they did a 6-issue mini-series which acted as a prequel to this series, which was published by IDW, and I think that was around about 2001, 2002, I think it was. That was a really good series. If you can get that in trade paperback, definitely see if you can pick it up. Grimm Jack follows the story of a character called John Gaunt, whose his nickname is Grimm Jack. He's a mercenary, a sword for hire. He was an ex-paramilitary war veteran, and now he does jobs that nobody else would do. The whole premise of Grimjack is set in a post-apocalyptic world where the barriers of dimensions and that all converge into one area. It's mainly set in a futuristic post-apocalyptic Chicago, and one of the main settings in this post-apocalyptic world is a bar called Munden's Bar, which is where Grimm Jack operates out of. In this issue, an old friend of Grimm Jack's asks for help. His wife's nephew has been set up for a crime that he didn't commit. He's in prison. His wife's very upset about this, so Grimm Jack's friend asks him to see if he can find out who set up his wife's nephew, and why they did it, and try and also get a confession out of him so they can get his wife's nephew out of prison. The only clues that they have is a receipt from a gas station that his nephew could never have gone to because his nephew doesn't have a car, didn't like cars, would never drive one, but somehow a receipt for the gas station ended up in his wife's nephew's pocket. This gas station is out in the Badlands, the wild areas which converge the dimensions, and you have these roads that go off into otherworldly places. When Grimjack goes to this, or is on his way to this gas station, he bumps into a character called Namski, Namski? Yes, Namski. Sorry, I had to quickly check that name. Who I'd say Namski is sort of like similar in vein to Judge Dredd, I suppose. He's a cop or a sheriff who goes around the Badlands stopping people from smuggling stuff into the city and taking stuff out of the city that they're not supposed to be. The usual thing happens, as it always happens near enough in comics, where you get two characters who meet up and they fight. In fact, they near enough beat 7 shades of proverbial out of each other. In the end, they figure out that they're not going to be able to best each other with this, so Grimm Jack just turns around to Namski and says, will you tell me what you know about this gas station? Who runs it? Where is it? And do you know anything about this guy who's been put in prison for a crime he didn't commit? Namski just says he hasn't got a clue, doesn't know anything. Grimjack just rides off. He's saying there's no way. Some people you can get information out of by beating them up. Other people, doesn't matter how much you hit them, you're still not going to get information out of them. So Grimjack rides off, finds this gas station, and it's a gas station with a bar and a restaurant with it and everything. As he enters the gas station and bar, a group of thugs and mercenaries are inside. When Grimjack starts asking them questions, they attack him and they nearly kill him. Just as they're about to chop him up with a chainsaw, Namski rides his motorbike through the window, saves Grimjack's life. As they're driving away on Namski's bike, one of the mercenaries, accidentally hits one of the gas stations, the petrol pumps, blowing up the gas station with the mercenaries inside, and Grimjack and Namski make their getaway. When Grimjack asks Namski, will you help me find out what's going on? Why these people, why it's so important that I don't find out what is happening. Namski says that, yep, he'll definitely help him. When his daddy died, he left him a gas station, a badge, and a motorbike. And the only thing he's got now is his motorbike. So we find out that the gas station was actually Namski's. And to be continued in issue 6. If you can pick up some of the old issues of Grimjack, it's definitely worth getting, because if you like post-apocalyptic stories, you can't get more post-apocalyptic than Grimjack, really. It is sometimes weird, sometimes strange, but it's always fun to read, always really action-packed, and like I said, Timothy Truman's artwork in there and John Ostrander's writing is just brilliant. I mean, you can't really fault it. I mean, this series went on for 81 issues. There's not many comics nowadays that even manage to get to 81 issues. Even 50 issues is hard for some comics to get to. So you can see how good this went. I mean, the only reason why this got cancelled was because First Comics went bankrupt. That's the only reason why this comic got cancelled. If First Comics hadn't gone into bankruptcy, I'm sure Grimjack would still be going now. I'm sure John Ostrander and Timothy Truman would still be writing Grimjack. I mean, like I said, they had a mini-series come out in the early to mid 2000s from IDW, so it shows that the character is still, people are still interested in him. There is a little story in the back, which tells the tale of one of the patrons of Munden's bar, and it's a very sad tale. It's this little green dragon guy who drinks gin in the bar, and that's all he does. He sits there at the bar, drinks gin, and we find out why he's drinking gin. It turns out that many years ago he was one of a group of male creatures that were kidnapped and used as a plaything for the rich. It transpires that these creatures, when they are in pain or if they're seriously stressed, they make a noise that is pleasant to people's ears. A whole load of these little green dragon guys get kidnapped, and all the young and the females end up getting killed. He gets taken to this party where he's painted up, so it makes him look like he's happy when he's not. He's miserable as anything, obviously. And he gets taken to this party full of rich people. They beat him, they prod him, they do everything they can to stress him out to a point where he makes his pain, as it's called, the pain song, much to the delight of the rich people in the party. At this moment, Grimm Jack bursts in and starts shooting at the people. We don't know why Grimm Jack's at the party. We don't know whether it's because of these rich people taking these animals or not. It could be something completely different. This little green guy doesn't know why Grimm Jack is there. Grimm Jack sees this little green guy, takes pity on him, and takes him away from the party. And at the very end, we see the poor little green guy sitting there with a empty bottle of gin by the side of him, and looking very down and distraught. But he's holding on to Grimm Jack's finger, because now Grimm Jack is his family. So yeah, like I said, a bit of a depressing story to end that one with, but it's also a poignant story. I mean, if you think about it, there are some people who will go out and just shoot and kill animals supposedly for sport, which I could never understand. I mean, surely if it's a sport, usually in sports there's some equality in, you know, the people or the beings taking part in that sport. So surely if somebody's going out and, say, hunting foxes or hunting deer or whatever, and they've got a gun, surely the animal that's they're being hunted, surely the animal should be allowed to have a weapon as well. Otherwise it's just picking on the animal, isn't it? But there you go, that's my little rant over. Yeah, Grimm Jack, a really good piece of 1980s post-apocalyptic, futuristic action and adventure. If you can find any of these, see if you can pick them up, because they're really good. If you can get the trade paperbacks, because sadly there was some legal wranglings that was going on with this, because First Comics went bankrupt. So there's not that many trade paperbacks of the original series out there. But if you can find any, definitely worth picking them up. And if you can find the original issues, definitely worth picking up. Right then, thank you for watching. Tomorrow is Friday, which means I get hold of my cap up there. I get a piece of paper. I write down the names and numbers that people have given me, and I put them out of the hat. And then I almost kill myself trying to go through the boxes behind me here. Yes, hello. So what I'll do is I shall record that one tomorrow when I get a chance to, and then I shall record my normal random comic pick for Friday, and then I shall put up a video to show who helped me choose my 2 completely random viewer's choice comics for Saturday and Sunday. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure you'll get a laugh out of seeing me struggling with all these heavy boxes and such, because I know I have fun doing it. So thanks for watching, take care, and see you tomorrow. Ta-ta for now.